Dyslexia. D Y Z. Yeah, no way that's happening. I give up. Dyslexia. Not just a learning disability, but also a word that's pretty hard to wrap your head around when you're a kid. And unfortunately, even harder to spell. You see, dyslexia is a learning disability that affects a person's reading, writing, spelling, and yes, even speech. Personally, I wasn't diagnosed with dyslexia until last year, halfway into my freshman year of high school. And for me, this realization was life-changing. But why was it that this diagnosis flipped my world on its head? Well, it's because I had so many unanswered questions. In fact, according to the University of Michigan's Research Center, 1 in every 5 students is actually impacted with dyslexia or another form of a learning disability. But sadly, over 80% of all dyslexics aren't diagnosed until well into their adult years, and some never receive a diagnosis at all. And this is because we never talk about these crucial things. You see, I used to view the school system as a sort of box, with students as squares, who were supposed to fit perfectly into that box with no exceptions. The ones that did were good students, and the ones that didn't were simply bad students. There was nothing more to it, right? Well, throughout my years in school, I started to realize that I didn't fit that box the same way others did. I read incredibly slowly, and let's just say if my life depended on a spelling test, I wouldn't be standing here today. In book reports, when I was given a book to read, my classmates would be on chapter 10. Well, I still didn't know what main character died in chapter 5. And in class discussions, I often based what I said on my classmates' thoughts, rather than my own, fearing that what I thought wasn't good enough to be shared. This isn't just my personal experience, but an experience that so many kids with learning disabilities go through when they develop negative coping mechanisms to try and keep up with their peers in school. And they start to internalize the feeling of just that, not being good enough. I truly believed this until my freshman year, when I decided to take my first AP class ever, AP Modern World History. In the class, we had to take 45 question tests in just 45 minutes. A minute per question felt impossible to me. So in the days leading up to the tests, I studied my note cards religiously and read through all my notes more than 3 times. The day of the test came and I walked through those doors feeling confident, head held high. And when I received my paper, my confidence immediately left. I stared at the words on the page and knew that I could find the answer, but my brain couldn't keep up with my eyes, and I was lacking one thing: time. Sure enough, the clock hit 0 and time was up. I had only answered 11 out of the 45 questions, and I was devastated, knowing that I had tried my hardest and felt so confident that it wasn't good enough. But then, my teacher pulled me aside. I braced myself for the usual, you should have worked more, you should have studied harder, and do you really pay attention in class talk? But instead, I was met with a 3-word question that left me dumbfounded. What's going on? And I was so shocked because I had never been asked this before, despite the fact that I had struggled in school many times. And while I didn't have an answer at the time, after some discussion, I decided to get tested for dyslexia. And sure enough, I came back to class 2 weeks later with a diagnosis and a 504 plan, which gave me things like extended time on tests and, thankfully, spelling exemptions. That was it. My problems were solved, right? Not exactly. You see, dyslexia was something that had impacted me for over 15 years of my developmental learning, and all of these fixes felt like temporary solutions to something that would continue to impact me for the rest of my life. I, like so many other dyslexics when they receive their diagnosis, struggle to face that this is their new reality. And even with my diagnosis, I still felt alone, like that broken and cracked square, like a problem. Until one day, when I was talking with one of my best friends who also had dyslexia. She was a 4-time varsity athlete, gorgeous, and she excelled in school. And after sharing our experiences and struggles, I felt this weight lift off my chest. Finally, someone else who felt like the school system didn't exactly fit them. And it was then that I realized something. I wasn't alone. In fact, I had never truly been alone. All across the world, there are all kinds of shaped learners, from squares to triangles to that cool S we all used to draw in school. And they all deserve a chance to thrive in school with their learning and education. And I wish I could tell every single one of them what I wish someone would have told me all those years ago. Just because you learn differently doesn't make you a bad student. Just because you don't fit the box doesn't mean you don't belong. And just because you haven't found a learning style that works for you yet doesn't mean there isn't one out there somewhere. Personally, I am incredibly thankful for the community that I had around me, whether it be my friends helping me study for tests after they learned I had dyslexia, or sharing their personal stories. My family, who was incredibly supportive throughout my entire journey, and even learned a lot more about dyslexia to learn how they could help me. Or my teachers, who took the time out of their day, which was very busy, to stop and notice that I was struggling and learn how to help me with that, which is what every single person in this room today can do. Whether you have a learning disability, know someone with a learning disability, or maybe none of the above, you have a voice. And with your words and stories, if you share them, you can build a community that makes all types of people feel included. And sure, I might never learn how to spell the word because. B-E-C-A-U-S-E. Did I get that right? Yes. But that's okay. Because maybe someday I could write a story that stirs emotion into someone, or give a talk that other dyslexics hear. And maybe, just maybe, we could start using our voices to change the education system and the way we view it. Not seeing dyslexia as this negative connotation, or other learning disabilities as something that will weigh you down in life, but instead, learning to view them as something that makes us who we are today. Not changing our differences in learning, but accepting them and celebrating them. Thank you.